Hello, today I'll be doing something a little bit different. Usually on the channel, I usually talk about music, but once in a long while, I'll talk about something movie related. But in this case, I'll be talking about my top 5 favorite movies of the year so far. And this top 5 is in no particular order, but before I get to my top 5, I do want to talk about some honorable mentions. First one being Prey. Now, this is the latest sequel in the Predator franchise, and I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I enjoyed this more than I expected. Going into it, I pretty much had low expectations. I was basically getting thoughts that some other people were having, like, why are we doing this? Why is this really even necessary? And all that. But after watching it, again, pleasantly surprised. I thought this was pretty good, and I did like the lead character also. But yeah, I didn't quite make it to my top 5 though. There are other movies this year that I personally enjoyed more. But either way, still, Prey was a pretty good movie. But my next honorable mention is The Northmen. A bit of a slower movie, slow burn you can maybe say. But while I did overall thought the movie was pretty solid, pretty good. But at the same time, I just don't see myself going back to this movie over and over. Probably not a movie I'd watch again. I mean, of course, who knows? We'll see in the future. But still, The Northman, pretty solid movie. But next we have Pearl, which was the most recent movie I've seen. And I thought about putting this in my top 5, but I decided to go with, of course, some other movies. But still, Pearl would probably make my top 10. I think this was a pretty good prequel. Now, prequels sometimes can be fairly hit or miss, but in this case, Pearl was really dang good, really good prequel to the movie X. But yeah, Pearl, definitely a movie I did want to mention in this video. But next we have Everything Everywhere All at Once. Definitely a unique movie that I saw this year, definitely different, and overall, pretty interesting for what it was. Not sure if it'd be a movie I'd watch over and over, kind of like with The Northman, but still, for what it was definitely a unique / interesting movie experience. I mean, I did enjoy the characters, and the visuals were sometimes pretty interesting and cool to look at. But again, there were movies that I liked a bit more than this one, but still, Everything Everywhere All at Once, pretty good movie, and if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And then my final honorable mention, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, when I heard that Sam Raimi was going to direct this, that got me excited because I really liked his work with, of course, the Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire. I know that he did the Evil Dead movies. I haven't seen those. Maybe at some point in the future I'll check those out. But again, I do like his work with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. But yeah, I like what he did here with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. He had some horror elements, and this is probably by far the most brutal MCU movie when it comes to the violence or the action. But yeah, definitely had to be one of my honorable mentions. And there is one other movie I do want to mention, the movie Nope. Overall, I thought it was pretty good, but of course, gotta be honest. While I do think, again, it was pretty good, overall, I just didn't find myself at the end of the day satisfied. I'm not sure how else to put it, but ultimately it just didn't really satisfy me. But still, overall, I did think the movie was pretty good, but I still think Get Out is definitely the best movie that Peele has done so far. But I have liked all 3 movies though. But now let's go ahead and move into my top 5. First one I want to talk about is Top Gun Maverick. So yeah, with this one, I did get a collectible popcorn bucket. This is what it looks like. And I also got a collectible cup too. So yeah, pretty cool. And it is impressive what this movie has done. I mean, not just with how great the movie is, but also just how it's been doing financially. I mean, it's crazy what it's been doing number-wise. And it's still doing great all this time later, but yeah, I mean, for a sequel that came decades later, this is pretty damn good. Because, of course, I do really enjoy the first one from 1986, Top Gun, but I think this is a really strong sequel. And as you're watching it, you can tell that Tom Cruise really cared about this movie, and you can tell there was effort put into this, there's soul in this. You can tell he did not want to half-ass this or just rush it. You can tell he wanted to take his time and make sure things are perfectly right and all that good stuff. And yeah, just all around really good film. You're really into the characters, even the new characters I enjoy overall. I do like, but yeah, really good sweet sequel all around. But my next movie will be The Batman. This was a movie that just in general just really wowed me. I mean, and if I remember correctly, this movie is like around 3 hours long, but it didn't really feel like 3 hours to me. I didn't feel the movie length too much, and I'm sure some people will probably be different to me on that, and that's okay. But yeah, this movie again really wowed me, and I was overall pretty impressed with Robert Pattinson's interpretation of Batman. I think he was overall a pretty good Batman. Overall, I did like all the characters. I found myself engaged in the story, the plot, and of course the acting performances were pretty good. But yeah, honestly, I don't really have any complaints with this movie. Just all around a really good Batman movie. And again, with the 3 hours length, didn't really have an issue with that either. But my next movie I want to talk about in my top 5 is the movie X. So this came out earlier this year, and this movie actually really surprised me. Going into it, I was intrigued, but wasn't really sure where to have my expectations at. But after watching it, I just found myself really loving it. So basically, this movie is a slasher movie. It's about this group of young people renting out this house that this old couple owns, and they're at this house that they're renting. They're filming a porno movie, and the wife of the older couple, the wife notices what they're doing, and then things start to go downhill from there. Some killing, of course. I'll just leave it at that for those who haven't seen the movie yet. But if you're into movies like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, or The Rental, just to name a few movies, I highly recommend checking out X. I think this movie is really dang good. And I also, again, really enjoyed the prequel, Pearl. And they do have a sequel coming. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but the movie is called Maxine, which will continue or take what happened, will continue what happened from X. But yeah, X overall, really good movie. But next we have The Black Phone. Now, this was a movie that for a while I wanted to check out, but I kind of procrastinated a little bit, or I kind of just, I don't know, forgot about it, who knows, but eventually I got around to checking it out, and this was another film, kind of like with The Batman, that really wowed me in general, not just by the story, but also by really the acting performances. I mean, Ethan Hawke, that guy, definitely a great actor, and I did, of course, like him in Training Day, but with this movie, his performance, definitely one of the highlights of the movie by far. And also, the child actors, probably some of the best child acting that I've probably seen ever. Some of the best. But yeah, The Black Phone, definitely a movie I highly recommend, especially if you're into horror or thrillers or anything like that. All around, really strong movie. But now, the final movie in my top 5, we're going to go to Clerks 3. And I'm honestly not surprised that this is in my top 5. Now, the first two, Clerks 1 and 2, some of my favorite comedies of all time. Clerks 2 being one of the very few comedies that's gotten me to laugh to the point of tearing up, laughing in tears. Wedding Crashers, I think, is another one that's done that to me. But yeah, I absolutely love Clerks 2. And of course, I do love the first one also. And yeah, Clerks 3, overall, a pretty good, solid conclusion to the Clerks story. Now, something you notice with this one, especially when you move towards the second half of the movie, is that this movie definitely has some weight to it, but also has heart, especially between two certain characters, Randall and Dante. And it's just, there's a lot I could say, but I don't want to spoil the movie. But Clerks 3, I mean, definitely a satisfying concluding film for Clerks. And yeah, definitely check it out, especially if you're into comedies. But of course, check out the first two first. But yeah, Clerks 3, definitely really enjoyed this more than I expected. Now, I will admit Clerks 3 is probably not as funny, or it didn't get me to laugh as much as the first two movies. But with saying that, the story and the heart/weight that you get in the movie kind of made up for that for me. Now, I did notice that, at least with some opinions or reviews that I've seen of the movie, some people were not really on board with how dark the movie got, or the weight that you got, especially towards the end of the movie. Some fans were not really on board with that, but for me, I think that weight really worked for the movie. But yeah, Clerks 3, definitely a great movie. But anyways, that is my top 5 movies of 2022 so far. Let me know your thoughts on my top 5. Let me know your top 5, of course, in the comment section below, and all the good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.